Hello everybody. In this video, we will try to understand what happens when the Aries Ascendant Lord Mars is sitting in the 6th house of a horoscope. So here the Ascendant taken is Aries Ascendant and its Lord is of course Mars. And for Aries Ascendant, the 6th house is Virgo. So basically, for Aries Ascendant, Mars is the ruler of your physical body, your life direction, your mental pattern, basically. Sixth house indicates your enemies, your diseases, your debts, your daily work, daily routine, your service oriented nature, and your competitiveness as well. And Virgo is basically a sign of logic. It's a sign of detailed work. It is a sign of analysis, perfection, and criticism as well. So, Mars, when sitting in the 6th house in the sign of Virgo, then Mars becomes a fighter in daily life. So, this particular person having Ascendant Lord Mars in the sign of Virgo fights problems every day, does not run away from any trouble, and he can also win over enemies slowly but surely. That is the fundamental nature of this particular placement. So, Mars is strong by effort here, not by comfort. That is one thing you need to remember. So, Mars works like a soldier on everyday, daily basis. Is not a king here. He works like a soldier every day. So results basically come after struggle, we say. And you take this particular person in the job environment, how he behaves. He can be good in kind of IT, he can be good in some engineering, he can be good in medicine also, can be good in law because that is 6th house impact, is good in banking, audit. So the daily work of this particular person is a bit stressful and also detailed and demanding. So even if it is a very toughest environment, the other people in the environment may quit, but this particular person, this native having Aries Ascendant Lord Mars sitting in the 6th house, he stays there only in the same environment and he wins finally. And as we are talking about the 6th house, we need to talk about the enemies of this particular person. And the office politics always exists wherever this person goes generally, and people try to pull this particular person down. But this native uses some logic, but not anger, I would say, because it is Virgo world. So they very soon understand anger cannot work, cannot make the things better, but logic can make the things better. This native very soon itself the native can understand this fact, and by his or her logic the native works, slowly enemies lose power because of this. So if he stands, yes, if this particular native stands against the enemies and works logically, yes, enemies lose power. So this person can become successful finally. And then health issues, if you observe, as we're talking about the 6th house, stomach related, digestion related, nerves related, stress related, there would be some health issues because it is the Virgo world and Mars is sitting there. So the native fights disease with some kind of discipline, we can say, because 6th house is also about the daily routine and kind of discipline. So exercise plus routine, the daily routine helps a lot for this native to fight against the diseases. And you just imagine It's a kind of a soldier in a hospital. That is the kind of energy you can feel when you see this particular placement. And of course, Mars also rules Scorpio for Aries ascendant. That is the Mars, the Scorpio is 8th house, but Mars here is placed in the 6th house, which is Virgo. So, Virgo is ruled by Mercury, who is a bitter enemy of Mars, of course. And you can clearly see the person, even though this Mars and Mercury are enemies, the person's life identity is solving problems, handling stress, defeating difficulty, any kind of difficulty, the person can overcome with efforts. So these kind of people, they are treated as they are built for struggle, not for comfort. So Mercury Mars enemy relation here, what it does basically, if you try to understand, Mars is fire, but Mercury is logic. So Mars cannot act blindly here. Even though Mars is fire, Mars cannot act blindly here. So anger becomes a kind of control, and the force of this Mars becomes a kind of strategy. The all the energy is pumped in the control strategy, and also there's no shouting of Mars here. Shouting becomes facts. So the person starts working with logic very soon, even though initially the native believes this anger or all these things work, but very soon the person would understand only strategy can work, can make things better, and the struggle will go away. So this is why the person uses logic over anger, plans before fighting. So before fighting, the person go with a plan. The person definitely goes with a plan, and the person speaks sharply but smartly. So one important thing is, even in the job environment, the person is in the area of problem solving, pressure, debates, arguments, data, rules. So these are all the things the person can do very well as a lawyer, auditor, or in IT jobs, right? And also as a compliance officer, as a doctor, as a risk analyst, the person can do very well. A person can naturally win arguments using facts. The person can speak less but strike hard with words. So the person can destroy opposition in debates. That is the placement when Mars is sitting in the sixth house in the sign of Virgo. So enemies exist, and there are many also, but the enemies fear this person, right? Not because of anger, but because of relentless work and focus. So enemies also will get tired because of this person. So, but this person can never get tired. He can control the enemies. Victory comes because others automatically quit because of this particular person. And another important thing is he has to focus on his health because of the heat in the body. It's a kind of intestinal inflammation is another important thing the person has to look into. And then acidity related problems, digestion stress, nervous tension. So the disease is controllable, discipline is the cure. The person also knows it. The discipline is the cure. So the daily routine can definitely saves a person's health. And the placement, it feels like a fire inside a machine. As a Mars is a fire, and Mars is fire basically, and Virgo is a kind of machine you can feel. And if this particular whole thing is controlled, machine runs very, very perfectly. If it is uncontrolled, this fire is uncontrolled, then machine breaks. And the person soon understands anger cannot make the things better. So the moment he controls anger, he can get success like anything. So the person is like a warrior with a book, you can say. So Mars wants to fight. Mercury is like So, but Mercury is giving him not a weapon but a book. So the warrior studies first, attacks last, and the person definitely wins. And that is the fundamental energy of this particular placement. And of course, the person, even though he wins, he is not a king on throne, he is a soldier. Every day he fights with battles and he can become an expert. So basically, you just imagine a person with a lot of stress, lot of office enemies, kind of some health issues, some kind of debt in life, but still the person follows routine, works hard, and never ever escape any problem. And the person, after years, if you observe the same person's life, his enemies will quit. They are going to be failed. And this person's money also stabilizes over the years of time. He can also get lot and lot of respect over the years of time. Only trick is the native has to understand anger cannot work for things better, but logic and strategy can make things better. And of course, the native success was built from difficulty that is there, but still, it's a kind of the person is going to be successful. That's what I can say, right? And the remedies, if the person wants to follow any remedies, the first and fundamental remedy is discipline. Once the person has discipline, yes, the person is going to win in any difficulty, so in any kind of difficult situation. Discipline is the main remedy for this particular person. A kind of good routine, a kind of good sleep, good food. So this is what going to control this Mercury and Mars conflict. The fundamental friction present in Mercury and Mars is completely controlled if the person is following a very good discipline in terms of sleep and food and also the daily routine. And for better to make the things better, the native better the native adopts some kind of walking, some kind of yoga, some kind of gym. Even if he is interested, he can go with martial arts for better discipline. So this removes that excessive Mars heat in the horoscope. And he can also help sick people, donate to hospitals, feed workers, anything, because then by doing this, by helping the sick people, by donating to hospitals, the sixth house, which is a kind of problematic house, becomes much more positive and the person can get lot and lot of success. Food control is another important thing that the native has to follow. The native has to avoid any kind of spicy food, junk food, and most importantly, the person has to quit alcohol. That's it. The person can get better success. Better the person eats some kind of simple, warm, regular meals. That is it. This cools this Mars Mercury conflict. And for spiritual support, right, the person has to recite Hanuman Chalisa on Tuesdays, and Lord Hanuma is the god, that can Lord Hanuma is the god who can actually eliminate all kinds of problems for this particular person. So a kind of just lightening a simple oil lamp on Tuesday before Lord Hanuma is very good. And also the best thing is this Hanuman Chalisa reciting. This protects Mars energy, and the Mars energy is going to be utilized for the much more better things in the life. So this is basically a kind of a good placement, but with some difficulties. The person can overcome all the difficulties in life, can definitely win. There's no second thought here for this person. Even though there are so many struggles, struggles teach these person a lot of things, and at any cost, right? Simply he is going to win after overcoming all these struggles. He can become the person can become an expert in life, kind of, right? A very good placement, but kind of difficulties in life, continuous difficulties teach the native so many things. But any kind of enemy in this person's life will not exist. They will quit, right? So automatically they are going to quit. The enemies will quit, and that's it. A person just reciting Hanuman Chalisa can do wonders in this particular person's life. So thanks for watching this video.